Good evening, good morning, good whatever time it is. My name is Josh,
My name's Marichen.
and welcome to Collector's Confessional, the podcast where two music nerds confess their love of music and the lives they lead. Welcome to season 2.
Woohoo! Finally!
Yay! We need the fanfare
I
music.
know we promised this in February and it's
It's almost
March.
the end of March, and yeah, it's life. It is 100% life. We're going to reintroduce ourselves and also, for new listeners and old listeners, talk about what's going on in our lives and why it took so long for us to get where we are. So, Marikin, I'd like you to start. Go ahead and tell me how have you been, what's been going on in your life, and anything crazy going on?
Right now, thankfully nothing crazy is going on. I've had a lot of crazy things happen. Um I think we both have. But I'm glad that life seems to finally be at a slow point for me. And I'm not dying of homework or work stress. So, yeah, thankfully that's gotten better. I've been crazy busy with school and work throughout the month of February, and I honestly I don't even know how that happened because normally it's not so busy, but it just seemed to get so busy all at once, and it felt like the whole world was just crashing down on me. Especially last week whenever we were planning to record and talk and do stuff, and then it seemed like everything blew up in my face. And so I'm glad we can actually sit down and talk and film and talk music again because I've missed
Yes,
this.
yes, yeah, I missed this too. And this is honestly, I feel like the fourth or fifth time, kind of just in general, we've been trying this because every single way we've tried to record has been chaotic. So I just said, you know, I reject your reality and substitute my own. We are recording this via Audacity, and every other way has been nothing but horrible, horrible, horrible. So we have um, basically just decided to say, uh, not screw what they say in Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridge, screw the rules, I have money, or screw the money, I have rules, or whatever. But we are recording this manually,
Woohoo!
and I am editing this manually. So any other errors should be non-existent, thankfully.
I know it seemed like for a while we tried to actually film a couple podcasts, but for a while it was just everything we tried just wasn't working. And it sucked
Yeah,
because we had so little time where we both were able to get together and sit down and record. And it was well, we both need to be here. So that was very fun. And I'm hoping that this works out because if it doesn't, I might stroke out.
yeah, if you're hearing this now, it obviously worked out. So, just to recant a little of what's going on with me, I decided that for my spring cleaning, I was going to completely gut my record room, my music room, take everything out of there, shampoo the carpets, put everything back except the bed that was normally in this room is out of here. Bought myself a chair, bought myself an ottoman. I actually have a different mic coming in that we might want to choose to use. I want to kind of see the difference between the two. But it's mainly for my YouTube videos. I finally got myself one of those fancy mic boom arms.
Woohoo!
So hopefully, when the videos start trickling back in, it'll be kind of nice. But this room went through a transformation. It is still not done. I just got back from IKEA today. I bought a Clax, and I have a little bit of advice for new collectors on that. But I just literally got done building it maybe 5-10 minutes ago. Got ready to be here, but that's why I've been MIA from YouTube. Is that and just life in general, which is still chaos, utter chaos.
Woo for chaos!
So, do you want to talk some plans that we have for the future of this podcast?
Yeah, I know we're hoping to set a schedule this season and not be so few and far between on our uploads. I think that's our biggest thing that we've
Yes.
talked about. We're hopefully going to be doing these podcasts bi-weekly, hopefully.
Yes,
Um
yes. I need to find some paper here and not like laminated paper. There. Wait, no, I still have the there. There's the hammer I was using to build the clocks. I knocked on that wood there.
There we go.
Uh,
Hopefully, everything will work in our favor to do that because I know we really
yep.
like talking about music and doing these podcasts. We have some really
Mm-hmm.
awesome ideas, and I don't want to spoil a lot of those ideas.
No,
But we do
no.
have a few friends and VC members who are hopefully going to get in on the podcast this season. We're hoping to start having guests
Mm-hmm.
on here and talking with
Yes.
them and getting their perspective on different topics. You guys know we like to do a few different topics per podcast. So it'll be
Yep.
nice to kind of have them and get their take and talk to them and introduce you guys to some awesome people. So
Because there's some really awesome people here in the VC and just kind of the arm of music fans out there who happen to have channels. I'm noticing I'm finding more and more channels as time goes along, and sometimes it's very hard to keep up with everybody, especially with the chaos of life. But there are some great people out there that you know have their own unique perspectives, like you said, and I'd love to have them on to hear those perspectives to bring a different dynamic. And if you're hearing this and this works, then we'll have found a way to add an extra voice in here and make it all work. Now, when we're actually talking, that's the little chaos part because I've been in so many voice chats where it's been like people, talking over each other, this and that. I'm trying to find that perfect balance, and it'll take a little while, but I think we can get there.
yeah, I'm really excited for us to start adding people into these podcasts because I mean, you can allow for so much in these podcasts that we do, and it's just always nice to hear what other people think about the music that you like and you like to talk about.
Exactly. So, with that little bit of an intro out, if we have some new listeners here, let us introduce ourselves. I'd like Marichen to introduce herself first.
Oh boy, I get to go first. Man, I am awful at introductions. Okay, so my name is Mariken. I live in Kentucky. I love music and records, of course. Collector's Confessional. Hello. Um, I've been collecting records for 7 years now, I believe, roughly. And I kind of started out with like a small little turntable and small little setup, and I've learned so much from the VC. There are just so many amazing people out there that talk about records and how to care for them and clean them and store them and all the equipment that goes along with record collecting. I've been a huge fan of music basically my entire life. My dad introduced me to a lot of classic rock and metal bands and stuff like that when I was younger, and I've just always really enjoyed listening to music because of some of the things that he's showed me. And I think this is just a super fun way to talk about music. I do have, my own YouTube channel like Josh, and I get to talk about my music tastes on there, but coming here and being able to talk about something completely different is just so much fun because I don't talk about a lot of this stuff on my channel. And so it's super fun to have another opportunity and another outlet to discuss even more music related topics.
Awesome. And VC, if you don't know what that is the vinyl community. So it's just kind of just a collective term of those of us who happen to have vinyl related YouTube channels, and we're all just together talking about it. I don't have any other way to talk about that. And yes, there is a little toxicity, but we are against that here. We are not for that, but just kind of the collective term means vinyl community, if you don't know what that is. So there's a whole bunch of us to talk about vinyl records, like myself. I am Josh. I also go by Pirate Novelist. that username actually has been my moniker for close to 15 years. That goes way back even to the dial up internet days. Yes, yes, if you're of a certain age, you know what dial up internet is. So I was trolling the AOL forums way back when as the pirate novelist. So uh, it kind of came from a collective term of Pirates of the Caribbean, and I also like writing. So take that for what it will. I have been collecting for about 9 years, and my story is a little bit different. You know, everybody kind of has their, oh, this is your music story, but the condensed version of this, and we can talk about how I got into music as a whole later. How I got into vinyl records is my favorite band is called Tonight Alive. They're from Australia. And one day I was just tweeting Jenna McDougall, the lead singer, way back in, I think, 2012 now. I actually have the tweet on my wall behind me where I'm recording. And I had asked, what vinyl albums are you into? Because I had the albums that I grew up with that I took everywhere. Like every single move, I made sure to keep them. And to me, those were the only albums I knew. Call me crazy, but I was a young mind, and I thought, oh well, only these have been pressed to vinyl. Whoa! So I went out and she had suggested Led Zeppelin 4. Great album. Ooh, I just thought of another idea. Ooh, related to that. We'll come back to that later. But Led Zeppelin 4 was the album I bought from the record store that I go to now. I live in Virginia, and my favorite record store is Vinyl Days Records. They have been very kind to me for these close to 9 years, and they were able to hook me up with the Black Sabbath reissues for an upcoming video you have yet to see. But yeah, that's kind of my collective story when it comes to that, and I like having this. It's a great way to have that offshoot, like you said, of kind of not content, because for me this is just a passion project, but just a kind of place to just sit back, relax, talk for about an hour and a half of a whole bunch of different topics. So, Marichen, I'd like to know, and I think our listeners like to know, what your setup is. What is your vinyl setup currently right now?
I actually kind of have two different setups. One is technically mine, and one is technically my husband's, but we kind of use them interchangeably. So we have a smaller setup in our living room with kind of a beginner turntable that I bought for him whenever I introduced him to the hobby. It's an Audio-Technica LP60, and we have these Edifier speakers that we've hooked up to it. And we've actually just recently gotten a tape deck, so we kind of upgraded a little bit and bought a pile receiver from Amazon. And my main setup that I use is actually an Audio-Technica LP120, and I actually upgraded the cartridge about a year ago now to the Ortophon 2M Red, which I really love, sounds great. And I actually have some Audio-Technica speakers in there as well. They sound great as well. I love that setup. I keep saying I'm going to change it, but I just really love my setup the way it is.
Yeah, you get used to a way a certain setup is, and everything. Do you mind if I talk about my setup real
Go
quick?
ahead.
So, I started off with one of those all-in-one turntables. You know, the one that it looks like faux wood, or it's kind of wood, and then it has the lid that you take off, and you have like that $2 kind of record turntable that's in there. Nothing against that. If that's your first turntable, great. You know, if you love the music, love the music. But that's where I started out. And then eventually I moved up to an Ion LP dock, which is one of those that it's a belt-driven turntable. It has kind of the bells and whistles, but still is made of cheap plastic. But that held me on, and then I joined the Rhino Insiders, and I got myself one of those U-turn turntables. So it's kind of like U-turn is kind of that collective term where it's kind of like mid kind of starter, I guess. But I have a Grado green. Yes, I'm a Grado snob. Whatever. That goes into a Pluto preamp, a Yamaha receiver that has Bluetooth, and then I have a pair of bookshelf Klish speakers. I just got myself some really nice headphones. They're coming in the mail, but I eventually want to have a nice, like I said earlier, I've been working on this room that I listen to music in and sometimes game. I want to actually have an experience where I can turn off the speakers and just kind of sit there with the headphones. Because let's be honest, there are some albums that you like them, but you don't want everybody to hear them in the house. You kind of want to have that, internal. You just want to listen to it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I have those albums. I think one thing that I would love if I had headphones is that Jared wouldn't have to listen to music he doesn't like because he hates some John Lennon stuff that I listen to, so I can never play it when he's around. And so it might be nice to invest in a pair of headphones to plug into my setup
Right.
so that he doesn't have to listen to my horrible taste in music, as he would say. Kidding,
Yeah.
kidding.
There's a couple of rap albums that I have that were gifted to me, and I'll be honest. One of the things that turns me off about modern rap music, is some of the language that is used. Um, but if I want to listen to that, I'll put on the headphones so no one can hear the coarse language. And I'm not a prude or anything. We've been known to swear on this podcast, but there's just some language that I don't use particularly. But I was still the album was gifted to me, so I still want to listen to it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, oh yeah, I understand.
So I will be doing a video on those headphones once I've broken them in and listen to those. But now that we talked kind of about that, I want to talk just very briefly on record storage. So if you are a newbie listening to this, store your records vertically, please. There are some horror stories as to why you should not store them horizontally, but we're talking long term. Like if you're sitting down and listening to an album and you happen to have the jacket sitting on there, it's fine if you have it on there for maybe like a couple of days or so. But don't be a dingus like I was for about a couple of months, where this was before I was big into collecting and before I knew better. I stored them stacked on top of each other. Don't do that. Please don't do that. That'll warp your records. That's a fun thing about this hobby, is that they're fragile in some cases. I guess it's just like any hobby, am I
Yeah, and
right?
I think that's what I like about it, and that's what really drew me to it. Because when I was younger, I was like kind of born and raised in the era where cassettes were going out, CDs were coming in, and then as I got into like later elementary school, MP3 players, iPods, all that kind of stuff, that was really popular. CDs weren't in demand anymore, and I kind of missed having like a physical format, something that I could like play and look at, It was just so different hearing it digitally. And so then I was going through and found my dad's records and really become interested in what records were. And I was like, you know what? I really want to start collecting a physical format again. I want to have something physically to support bands and artists that I love. And so I think that's what really just draws me to this hobby, is that I can just support a band and have a physical copy of their music. It's great.
Yeah, and that's the great thing about records, is the physical copy. The bands go through a lot to, well, bands that like to think, or artists that, just the collective. They put a lot of thought and effort to the album. I'm looking at an album I just bought off of you. One of the ones that just came in, the Trophy Eyes.
Uh-huh.
I'm looking at the American Dream, and this artwork, they put a lot of thought into this artwork with what's going on with that. And it's kind of like Craig at Vinyl Tube, if you know that channel. One of my favorite videos to watch is his, because he puts into words a little bit more eloquently than I could why vinyl. So whenever I have a friend come up and say, hey, why do you collect vinyl records? I kind of give that, but I'd share that video because it's the tangible.
Mm-hmm.
It's the experience of putting, the record on the turntable, brushing it, putting the needle down and actually taking time to listen to the album as a whole.
Yeah.
And that might be a bit more bigger discussion for a different day. Is the term of the album? You know, some bands were kind of singles bands, and then some were album bands, and I think that would be a great discussion for another day. Is the thought of that, but just in general, it's the idea of I'm with you collecting it. You know, I have a whole bunch of CDs. I still have some cassettes. I don't have an 8-track player. I'd love to track one down eventually, just because multiple formats, and then I'd love to have a reel-to-reel player. But let's be honest, the room I'm in is so small that
Oh, I know.
I've
My
literally
music room is so tiny and it's like filled with records and I'm like, man, I can't collect anymore until I get a bigger space.
yeah, or more storage space like I just got.
Yo.
So, I use the IKEA Kallax, Kallax. Hopefully, that is the way you spell it. Say it, not Kalix or Kalex or whatever. But very, very good system to use and very easy to build, despite the chaos of when everybody says, "Oh, IKEA is hard to build." No, if I could do it, you could do it, and I'm no builder.
Yeah, and I
Um,
actually bought my big 5x5 from IKEA because we don't have one near us. So
mhm.
Jared and I took a road trip, like 3 hours, to go get the
Yes.
shelf because Walmart was out of their big 5x5s. And honestly, I think Walmart's are more expensive. But if you don't have an IKEA near you, Walmart does have a Better
Yeah.
Homes and Gardens version of the
Yeah.
Kallax, however you say it, from IKEA.
Hmm.
But they are really nice shelves and they're really easy to build. I love mine.
And if you don't have an IKEA near you, yes, you have to pay about $49 to get it shipped to you. But the quality is there. Like, we wouldn't be praising it overall as a collective with multiple people if it wasn't that. I actually have a 2x4. I just bought another 2x4 with the hope that I'm not going to fill it up and that it's going to be storage for something else. But we all know the way we collectors are. It's going to get filled up eventually. Come on.
Oh, I know. I was hoping that when I bought my 5x5, I would have more room. Oh, no, no. Not at all.
And what's funny is, depending on the way you sort your albums, like for me, I only have about 400 or so, you know, the big 12-inch, and then even that's like singles and
Uh-huh.
stuff. So it makes no sense for where I'm at right now to go by genre. I might not. It all depends right now, but I go A to Z.
I do too.
Sometimes if you're like me, I got Black Sabbath. I got two brand new Black Sabbaths. Well, they're not new. It's the Mob Rules and Heaven and Hell, which were Rhino reissues for this year. And I'll comment on the sound quality. I'll need a little bit more time to think about that. I've only had time to listen to them once. But if you get, say, Black Sabbath, you then have to move two albums over every single one of them as it goes along. And as I was doing this, I was like, well, shit. I just ran out of room.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't want them smashed up. You want room to. Another tip is you want these records to have room to breathe,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of just move a little bit. You don't want them all smashed up, you know, to kind of together. Um, so I'm looking now, and it's like, yes, I have room now. Great, but I just spent like $70 to get another shelf. Now I will say one thing about this. I'm not knocking the Walmart ones, but I had the Target one for a
Uh-huh.
while and it bent. The middle board that supports it literally
Oh,
just bent
no.
because it is thin. It is. I use it for my board games.
You know, honestly, the Walmart ones
Yeah.
are really good quality, I will say, because I
Yes.
bought a 4x4 and, or not a 4x4, a 2x2 four square, duh, and a 2x4. And I really like them. They've both held up really well. When I first started collecting, I bought like a 2x2 off of Amazon, and then I bought another one when I got more. And I honestly, I don't like those shelves at all. They're really flimsy and I hate them so much. I would honestly get another
Yeah.
like Walmart or IKEA 4x4 to replace it eventually, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But for now, I still have that kind of crappy Amazon one. But I really like the Better Homes and
Mm.
Gardens ones. They are, I think, a
Okay.
little more expensive than IKEA ones, but I mean, if you don't have an IKEA near you, they're readily
Yeah.
available. Because, like I said, I live
Yeah.
3 hours away from an IKEA, and I think the four
Yeah.
cube was like $40, so that's really not that bad.
No, not at all. Um, and sometimes IKEA might not even ship to you, so
Right.
there's that.
I know. I looked into shipping the big 5x5 that I have, and it was like $200.
And the reason they do that is they have to rent out a truck,
Oh yeah. Oh
essentially.
sure. I mean, like whenever I got to IKEA, because I had never been to IKEA in my life until I went and got this shelf. It was 4 boxes. I understood why it would have been $200 to ship it. Jared and I were literally struggling to get these 4 boxes onto the flat cart that we had. We were like, can we do it? Like, it took
You know the
both of us to
struggle.
pick it up. It was ridiculous.
I will say I love the showroom of IKEA. I know what I want when I go in there now, so I don't necessarily go up to the showroom anymore. I just go straight down to the um, everything else section. Like I could skip to the end if I want to, but like today, I wanted to get their bath mats. I love their bath mats. I got some bath mats. I got one of those ones that you can step out of the shower, and I saw this really cool shower curtain that actually had pirate ships on it. I mean, hello, me.
Very, very cool.
We also we also needed new shower rings because the ones I have, I like them, but they're hooks, and you know what happens with hooks, they fall off. Every single time I have gone into my bathroom to do anything, I even look at it and it falls off the ring. So I'm like, no, I want ones that are up there, so all I have to do is literally put the fabric on the hook. No. So I like their knives. Believe it or not, IKEA actually has some pretty sharp knives, and they're only like $3,
Wow.
which is crazy because you know how expensive knives
Oh
can
yeah.
be.
Like I honestly, whenever Jared and I actually like buy a house, I'm really wanting to go to IKEA and get more furniture because I bought
Yes.
the shelf that I have for my records. I bought a little like swivel chair to put in there and
Mm-hmm.
a like small little table. We've actually used it as like a end table in our living room. And I really want to get more furniture because the furniture that I've bought from IKEA I really like.
I have an Upland sectional in the living room. Upland, Uppland, very comfy. And what's nice is it's very yes, you probably will have to have it shipped to you, but very simple and easy to put together. The covers you can literally zip off, like if you spill some wine on a cover, you can literally zip it off and throw that cover directly into the wash. And if you don't like the color after say like 6 or so months, but you love the couch, you could buy a different color for your couch.
That is so cool.
Isn't that? I wanted that for my chair, but they didn't have any in stock. So I have this little Amazon chair that I just built, and it's very low to the ground. So I thought, oh boy, I'll actually have a nice little listening chair that I could turn over and come over and record. No. So you'll see it in the background. It's actually going to be my listening chair because it's actually super comfy. And I have a nice ottoman for storage, but it is a little tinier than I thought it was going to be, which is actually
Mhm.
perfect. If you think about it, that's actually kind of like a roll of the dice. It's kind of nice to where I can have 2 chairs in this room so I can sit at my desk, record a podcast, or record a YouTube video, or go there. And then it actually is kind of nice decoration in the background. So win
Yeah,
win.
the chair that I got for the music room is like a desk chair. I was really looking for a cute, comfy chair, but they really didn't have any in stock. And so I ended up getting that because I was like, I want a chair in the music room. I want to be able to relax. So I'm hoping that when we move and get a bigger place, we'll be able to buy like a comfier chair to sit
Mm-hmm.
in there because the 5x5 almost takes up one wall. So, like, there's
Yeah.
not a whole lot of room in my music room, which I'm sure you've seen my room tour. I don't know if any of you watching have
Hmm.
seen my music room tour, but it's a little tiny. I want a bigger music room, maybe in the future.
My music room is also where I watch YouTube videos. It's where I browse the internet after a long day of work. I literally call this my Zen room because I can walk in here and yes, let's just say I happen to watch like 3 hours of YouTube videos rather than actually listening to an album. I'm in a room where I can just decompress after the end of the day. There's so many stories on these walls. If you've actually watched some of my videos, you'll know what I'm talking about. The only thing I want to do a room tour, but I need to figure out how to blur because I have my degree up on the wall, and I'm like, should I really show my full name on the internet?
Yes.
You
I'm
know,
kidding. I'm kidding.
there's only a scant few of you, including you, my lovely co-hosts, who know my real name fully, even my address. But I do not want to give that information out,
Oh, yeah.
honestly.
Don't blame you.
Yeah. Also, I learned this too. Just kind of talking about the human malware, which is still to this day, YouTube still blocks it. So remember, human malware, if we ever talk about it. I am getting the shot soon. I actually have my first scheduled date, and then the next scheduled date is after my birthday. But I am actually going to, because I have my birthday off, I am going to, because I have my first shot, I'm going to face my fears and actually go to my favorite breakfast place, eat outside. I'm going to specifically request to eat outside. But on my birthday, damn it, I want to have a birthday breakfast at my favorite breakfast restaurant because I'm going to be turning 30. And last year, I didn't really have that much of a celebration because of what's going on. And I'm going to be damned if I'm not going to live at least for just that one day. You know what I'm
There you
saying?
go. Do it. I know we've talked about like planning a
Mm-hmm.
meetup of some sort at some point. I would love to do that still.
Yes. 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 You are definitely invited to come on down. I don't necessarily have a guest bedroom if you want to stay here, but we do have a nice comfy couch. We can all hang out, chill out there. But even if you grab a hotel, you are more than welcome to come visit.
I mean, I'm down for the beach. That just sounds so zen right now.
Yes, I live in a town called Virginia Beach, and my recommendation is a time that we could actually go to the beach, but not have tourists there. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
yeah.
So pick like a non-hot month, but still kind of warm enough that you could still enjoy the beach. That's what I'd suggest. But anyway, other than plans for everybody on the internet to hear, speaking of plans, Record Store Day. So, for those of you who don't know, Record Store Day is a celebration of independent record stores done by the big labels and some indie labels where they release some exclusive records on that Record Store Day. Well, actually, this year it's days, and we'll get into that in just a moment. But the idea is you go to support your local independent record store, which you should do all the time,
Uh-huh.
especially during the chaos that we are in right now. I've gone so many times. I actually I I'm surprised I'm not in debt for how many times I've gone, to be
Oh,
honest.
I know. I need to like cut back. I'm like, stop, Marichen. Stop buying stuff. Chill,
and
girl.
that's and that's why I bought some off of you because, you wanted some money back. You sold me a couple of records that I probably I bought basically without hearing the band. And sometimes I do that. Sometimes you just see a cover, like the Vinyl Guru says. Sometimes you just got to take a chance on the cover,
Oh
right?
yeah, I've done that so many times before, but like my collection got so overwhelming that I was like, I need to purge. And then as soon as I purge, everyone in the VC is like, I'm purging my collection. Watch me purge my collection. Here's tips to purge. And I'm like, is this just like some spring cleaning something? Are we all just gonna like purge our records?
which you can purge your records too, but
I
also
mean,
it's
no
kind of like
shade to like anybody, like, and
no,
no
no,
shade at all
no,
to
not at
anyone
all.
who did a video about purging their collection. That's totally cool. I just thought it was weird. I want to say that before like somebody thinks I'm hating on them.
No, no. If you want to purge your collection, just so it helps your state of mind, do it. And unfortunately, there are some people that have to purge it because of what's going on in the world right now.
Yeah.
Let's just say I am blessed to the point where I can afford records, that I can afford a nice brand new shelf and a nice brand new chair and headphones, non-stimulus I was able to actually afford that, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, and then not a lot of people are that lucky right now.
No, no. So if you're not lucky right now, we are thinking of you, um and we know that we are blessed and very privileged with what we have right now. But anyway, back from that wonderful tangent. Record Store Day. Support your local independent record stores. um They usually have it in April, but the human malware happened and it ended up being split into 4 record store days.
Yeah, last year was
Yay.
crazy, man. I was like, what the
It was
heck?
it was split into 3 days, and then there's normally a second one on Black Friday for the US, but this is worldwide too. So the Record Store Day Association, you actually have to pledge to be a Record Store Day store. You have to go through a whole lot of stuff to actually be certified to have this. And it used to be that you couldn't sell online. Well, because of the human malware, they kind of removed that restriction, and it kind of allowed for not flippers paradise, but a little more making it easier on some people to actually get some hard to find titles and not go through the scalpers, which is another conversation that we could have as well. I don't necessarily condemn scalpers, but they can be frustrating.
Oh
You know what
yeah,
I'm saying?
totally. Like I remember I had went into the local record store recently, and we were talking about record store day becoming 2 days, and I said, I was like, Matt, do you know like when somebody actually comes in to buy records and collect them, and when they come in to just flip them? And he said, oh yeah, totally, you can totally tell. And to me, I'm like, man, because I've never really like paid attention to a lot of people in the line. I kind of just like stay to myself, talk to Jared, and sometimes there are people in line next to us that are kind of friendly, sometimes not so much. But for the most part, I stay to myself, so I don't really like look at everybody else and pay attention. I'm more excited about what I'm about to purchase. But he's like, oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you can totally tell when someone is a flipper. And I'm like, you know what? That really sucks because you can't tell them you
Yeah.
can't buy that.
Right.
But like at the same time, they could be buying the only one of something that somebody, 5 people past them in the line really wants, and then they're gonna go and sell it
Mm-hmm.
online for double, triple, or quadruple what it's worth. And that really sucks.
It's also gotten to the point of trying to find a PlayStation 5. If you've been trying to find a PlayStation 5, it is impossible.
Good luck.
I tried this week. I tried during a Walmart drop. They did one every 10 minutes, and that was for a couple of hours. Of course, I was focused on work. It was during work hours, but I was focused on work. But in between emails and everything, I literally was just sitting there spamming it. And it got to the last drop. It got into my cart. I was ready to check out, and it sold out.
That sucks.
Does not suck because now I have my chair.
That
Now I
is
have my
also
nice
true.
headphones. Now I have my mic stand. Now I have my clacks. So, I am okay with waiting maybe until summer. Maybe until like the pre-holiday season, like just before it gets kind of crazy to try again.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, scalpers. I think that would be another kind of conversation, not to condemn them, just to try to understand. So yeah, scalpers. You have to live with them, unfortunately. But like I said, that's a conversation for another day. But I have heard some rumors for the upcoming Record Store Day. And first, we got to give a shout out to Bull Moose. wonderful, wonderful store up in the New England states. You and I buy from them quite a
Oh
lot.
yeah, I love bull
It's on my
moose.
bucket list to it's on my bucket list to go meet them. But if you go on their website, they one of our tips is to go to Bull Moose kind of on the same day when the record store day list drops. We're waiting for that, but it will help you budget out your your trip basically. So if you have a particular budget, you don't know, oh, is it going to cost too much? Bull Moose is going to be your resource. Now, there are two records right now listed for the record store day drops. They haven't said what days. I actually have the website here. It was supposed to be, I think it was supposed to be last time and then it was delayed. It's the Goonies soundtrack, it's the score, but it is on a picture disc.
Boo.
Now, picture discs have come a long way. I
That
actually
is
have a couple of
true.
decent sounding ones. But at the same time, no.
Oh yeah, I try and stay
It's
away from a
just,
picture disc unless I'm buying it for like the collectability of it. For example, like
yeah.
I love Queen. If you know me, you know that. If you don't, you
Yes.
know it now. And Queen and Adam Lambert released a live album in 2020 and it come out on a picture disc exclusive on the Queen web store. And even though I had already pre-ordered an indie exclusive from an online indie record store and even picked up the standard black copy at my local record store later on. I, of course, had to also pre-order this picture disc copy
Yeah.
because I'm obsessed. So I don't really listen to it. I've listened to it once, and it doesn't sound as good as the other two, but I have it for collectability.
Yeah. For example, I have a Ronnie James Dio, but it's Dio and Friends, and it was Stand Up and Shout for Cancer. It was for Record Store Day, so it has this really awesome artwork of like Lemmy and Corey Taylor and Lizzie Hale, and then it has the man himself singing the three cover songs, his live renditions of three of those songs. And let me tell you, for a freaking picture disc, it sounds amazing.
I mean,
I just recently.
like picture
Go ahead.
discs aren't awful. Like don't get me
No,
wrong. They don't sound awful, but they're not as good quality and they're not going to be.
no. And I will say this: the new Chris Cornell compilation that has just come out to the previous day of the recording. No one sings like you anymore. I was looking on his web store, and they actually have a picture disc version. It's the album cover. I would have loved if it was like if it would have been a different picture. I probably would have ponied up some money for it, but it's a novelty thing. But sometimes they actually sound pretty good. I actually have a couple. I have two of the Bowie 7 inches, and my buddy Kat, she got me one of my best friends. She got me the live one that has like four live tracks.
Hmm.
You would have thought you were listening to a 7 inch. Like they have come a long way. Now, will I listen to it a lot? No, because the grooves are going to be worn out,
Hmm.
probably quicker. For those of you who don't know, we're not going to go into the too much of the jargon of how records are pressed. That'll be for another conversation, if we want. But a normal vinyl record is pressed via a puck that gets smushed down with the grooves inside of it, and you listen to that. Well, with a picture disc, you have a vinyl inside with two paper pictures, and then it is pressed onto basically cellophane.
Yeah.
So the grooves are not going to be as deep. You're not going to get as much richer of a sound. But they have come a long way into making them sound very good.
That is true. I have
In a
some
way.
vintage Disney ones, and those do not sound great at all. But the newer ones sound so much better compared to that.
Mm.
It's amazing how different they sound.
I have the Bowie Man Who Sold the World for Record Store Day. It's because it didn't have this particular album, but I just love the artwork on it.
That is
Like
one of my favorite
sometimes,
album covers from Bowie.
yeah, and it's the Euro one with the hand.
Uh huh.
and the other side is a picture of the man himself. And I was like, I'm done. I want that. But yeah, the other thing that has come up is Village of the Damned original motion picture soundtrack, and it looks to be, it was supposed to be for Black Friday Record Store Day, but it's been moved. And it looks to be 2 LP deluxe orange marble vinyl. That's all we know right now. But if we hop over to another source, the Steve Hoffman forums, a forum site I don't actually post to, but one that I actually read from time to time. This is where I get my rumors. There's somebody who has a reliable source at UMG USA, and it applies to the UK. There are some ones that are coming out that sound Record Store Day, some not. So take these with a grain of salt. So, Abbey Road Half Speed Remaster of McCartney's Ram LP, not Record Store Day, but around that same time. The Police Live 2 LP, it's volumes 1 and 2. Volume 1 is live in Boston for the Regatta Tour. I don't know how to pronounce that album, I apologize. And Volume 2 is live in Atlanta for Synchronicity. Now, it looks like there is, for the UK, an Elton John that's coming out. I hope it comes here.
If it comes to the US, I am buying it, and if it doesn't, that's really fucked. Because I love Elton John.
Yeah.
We all know that, too.
Mm-hmm. Tears for Fears and Rolling Stones. There was supposed to be a Who box set, but it's being moved, apparently, from April to May to coincide with a new documentary on The Who. Non-Record Store Day, a Paul Weller album is announced for that week that they did that non-Record Store Day. It ended up that they were right about the 2 days. So that's all we know right now, is just that. But if that Police happens to be there, I will gladly buy those, because I love Synchronicity.
Synchronicity is a really great record.
Tears for Fears is reissue, apparently, of the Live from Maisie Hall promo LP that was only issued in Canada from the songs from the Big Chair Tour. Ooh, that sounds cool. You see, sometimes Record Store Day can seem gimmicky, but at the same time, it's awesome. And the same rep is said to late March is when the list comes out. Well, there's only 2 weeks left of March. And if that's not true, usually comes out maybe a month or so before, so May. But you will definitely get our reactions to the list when that comes out, our tips and tricks like we always have done. But I'm hoping that we get the list on a day where we're going to record on that day, or hold off our thoughts and not watch any videos.
Oh, I know, that's going to be torture.
I know, but I would love if we could sort it out to where we actually record our actual live reactions. Now, I used to have another podcast where we spent like 2 hours going over every single one of the ones on the list. I loved doing that, but at the end of the time that we were done, my voice was gone, and it was really just kind of tedious. Mm-hmm. But I would love if we could actually do live reactions, or if we do our own live reactions, if it's been like, say, a week, they always update it. We always have those initial reactions and they update the list. So I don't know at this point. I'm hoping that we get the list at some point and then hurry up and do a a recording of that. But if not, you'll still get our reactions to the list.
Oh yeah, I'm really excited to see the list. I don't need to be excited to see the list, but I am.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. The 3 dates actually allowed me to spend more money.
Yes.
Which is the double-edged sword. I spent over $100 each Record Store Day. Other than the Black Friday, I spent about $70. But normally my budget is $100. I stay at $100. Even if I know I have money for more, I stay at the $100. I budget, that's what I do. I spent $120 and $135. I skipped that other day and then 70. So, yeah.
I think having the multiple drop dates was kind of interesting, honestly. I didn't really know how that was going to work out when they first talked about it, and then obviously, everybody kind of found out how it was going to work. I'm kind of disappointed they're doing it again because a lot of people were upset by the 3 dates and were saying, oh, they're just
Mhm.
trying to get more money. And now that I really sit back and think about it, they are, because you could have one day where you go and spend all your money on records, or you could have 2 days and spend all your money on records.
Ooh.
Because now on the second day, you saved more money so you can buy more things, which kind of sucks. Because I don't need to
Yeah.
save my money to buy more things.
Mhm.
I really didn't do good with budgeting myself because I was like, ooh, I have to have these and it's on this date, and I have to have this that's on this date. So I'm really hoping that Record Store Day
Mhm.
stops doing the drop date things because it's annoying, kind of, at this point to me.
Yeah, they will. They will. Once we get vaccines and everything kind of rolling and we start getting back to a semblance of normal, I think that 2022 is going to be when we see it back to a normalcy.
Although
And I
I'm
hope it goes
not
back to
mad
normal.
at the June drop date because I honestly,
I'm
June is
not
so
either.
much warmer. Even though April is still spring, the morning is still kind of cold. So June, I'm real excited about because it's gonna be nice and warm.
The only reason why I liked April is my birthday is in April, so it made it kind of special. But I don't mind, like you said, going in a little bit of a warmer month, to be
Oh yeah,
honest.
because I sit outside and I toughed through it, and I mean it was
Hmm.
cold. Like September, October, November, I thought I was gonna freeze. It was awful.
And then Black Friday, yeah.
Black Friday was definitely the worst. It encouraged Jared and I to buy hand warmers so we could stuff them in our
Ooh.
pockets and shoes and stuff for the next cold drop day. Because we're like, yeah,
Did
you know
you?
what? We need to do that.
Yeah. Did you get the reusable ones or the disposables?
The disposable ones.
They're actually reusable ones, and they're the strangest thing. I actually got watched a video on them, and it is the strangest thing to see this liquid freeze, and yet it is warm. It is the freakiest thing, and science is cool.
I
Stay
mean,
in
that
school,
is
kids.
very
Science is
true.
cool. But um, yeah. So yeah, definitely hand warmers. Ooh, I think that actually has to be in our tips now
I know I've
because there's
never used
sometimes that get
hand
cold.
warmers before. Honestly, I've always toughed it out, and it's always been pretty decent weather. But this last time, it killed me. I was like, I'm gonna freeze to death. And so I was telling Jared, I was like,
Hmm.
when I was in band and we did competitions in the late fall and it would get chilly, when the sun would start to go down, we would get the reusable not the reusable, the disposable hand warmers, and we'd put them in our pockets in our uniform and in our shoes, and we would stay warm. And I'm like, we should do that. So we have a whole pack for Black
Yes.
Friday. Woohoo!
Woohoo! There you go. There's an unintended tip. But yeah, I think it's gonna be interesting if the police. That's kind of cool. I am definitely going to curb this year. Most definitely, I'm going to curb.
I really want that Elton
I don't
John
want to
one.
spend that
That
much.
sounded cool.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but I love Elton and I want it.
We have, I think we all have that handful of artists that no matter what, I gotta have
Oh
it.
yeah.
It's kind of like the Beatles. You know how avid collectors they are. And that's not a knock on the Beatles collectors, of course. I'm just saying, if there's something incremental, Beatles people have to have it.
Mhm.
So um, that's another double-edged sword. You know?
I know. I hate that. I hate that part of me that's like, "Oh, it's something from Queen. Is it new? No, not really. But I have to have it because it's different than the other pressing of the album that I have. I
Mm-hmm.
swear I hate that about collecting. I love it and I hate it
Yes.
because I'm like, oh, I have an original of whatever. Oh, there's a
Hmm.
new pressing coming out? I need that too. No, you don't, Marichen. Calm yourself down. No.
Uh, so the previous recorded version of this, I said I pre-ordered the Offspring new album.
Mm-hmm.
I decided to pump the brakes away from that, and then maybe 2 weeks later, oh yeah, there's a repressing of Evermore. Shut up, Bull Moose, and take my pre-order.
Take my money.
Okay, Taylor Swift is an artist that I don't have to have everything, but her two albums were quality enough that I kind of have to have them. You know,
Yeah, I've never been a
and
big T Swift fan, but I know everybody's raved about her last two albums that come out last year.
yeah, they were good. They were good. But there was one album that come out this year that I'm forgetting what came out last year, and you listened to it too. We both listened to it. Death by Rock and Roll by the Pretty Reckless.
Yes.
Oh, that album.
It blew my mind.
I'd like to do an in-depth discussion on it at some point because the Pretty Reckless. Unfortunately, I kind of hate that you were unable to make the live stream. But my number three band of all time is the Pretty Reckless, um, and I'd like to do that album justice. But the fun thing was, we were both just kind of lull time with working and everything, and you had messaged me. We were talking about it. We were actually live chatting to each other about the album, and
Yeah.
that was just so sweet for me because I knew the songs, but I put them on while I was there, and it reminded me of a time where my best friend at the time. It's very complicated with what's going on there, but she is part of some of my why I love music. But when Speak Now had come out, we had got it kind of early. We both were unable to kind of get at a certain time, but we actually live texted each other with the CDs going. We said three, two, one, and played the CD at the same time, and we live texted each other our reactions to every single song. So that brought back a very positive, fun memory in that you were talking about some of the songs as we were both listening to it. And your excitement as everything kind of built was just so heartwarming for me. There's so many good songs on that album.
Oh my god, like I
Y'all should
don't
definitely
think there
check it
was a
out.
bad song. Like I was
Yes.
so into it. I remember like I pulled it up on Spotify and I was like 50 minutes. What the hell? Like this is going to be forever. But it literally flew by so quickly. I was just like it's so good cuz I'm thinking like a standard rock album, which is usually like, 30 to 40 minutes. And I know like 10 to 20 minutes longer than a standard album, like, oh my gosh, what a big deal. But when you really think about it, 50 minutes, you're almost spending like a whole hour on an album. And I know to like metal and prog fans and stuff, that's not a lot of time. I know some albums can
Yep.
be really long, but I just wasn't expecting it to be like 50 minutes long. I was expecting like the 30 to like 40-minute range. And so I was like, man, this is gonna take a while. But it was so good. I was so excited. I knew I had to order it by like the third song on the album. I was like, I need this in my life. It's so good. And after I listened to it, I ended up going and ordering it from Bull Moose. So I'm so excited to get a physical copy in the mail soon.
Yes, yes. But I'd like to eventually bring on a friend of the podcast to talk everything the Pretty Reckless. But just know it is endorsed by the both of us. Um, just I'm being completely open and honest. It is a 10 out of 10 for me. And 10 out of 10 does not mean perfection, but it means that it is beyond any little faults that I happen to have with any of the mixing or any of just kind of the way my mind thinks of albums. It the good far surpasses any little nitpicks I have to say about the album.
I literally, okay, I've never really listened to The Pretty Reckless before. Josh had sent me a couple of the singles originally,
Mm-hmm.
and that was like it. That was the first I'd ever heard of The Pretty Reckless, okay? And so I have to admit that hearing nothing else but this album from them, not knowing them at all, this is running for my album of the year at the moment. Like, it is definitely up there for me. I've not listened to like a ton of records so far this year, but out of the maybe 10 or so that have come out that I've been interested in, this is my top few. And that's hard for me to say because like there are so many great albums that have come out.
Yeah, I didn't get to finish Haley Williams' latest one because this came out, and I'm gonna go listen to it eventually. But you know, an album is good if you keep wanting to come back to it
Oh yeah.
and keep wanting to experience it. And I'm gonna be completely honest, it blew me away. Like, I don't know if anything other than there's rumors that Lord is coming out with a new album. Maybe that might usurp this.
I think
But I'm telling you right now, I have not felt this much power from an album in a couple of years. The last time this happened was the 2018 Tonight Alive's Underworld. I no bones about it. This album is beautiful.
oh yeah, I loved
And
it.
I kind of want to do an in depth, but I want to hold off on that because I have still a lot to say. Like, I don't know if you had a chance to read my written review. We're working on a website, and I'm going to put the written review up there. It's 5 pages. And even then, I didn't put everything I wanted to say on there. I tried to keep it as brief as possible because you know how some music reviewers like to fluff it out. Pitchfork.
I mean, you're not wrong.
But I'd like to do a full in-depth discussion, or even find a way to do it as a YouTube video for the both of us.
Ooh, yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah, trying to find out the logistics of that. That'll be fun. This is fun just now trying to get this working.
Oh, I know. uh,
We'll find a way. We'll find a way. We might. Ooh, I just saw something. We might want to use StreamYard for that.
we could.
That's something to think
Yeah.
about. We can look into that after we're done recording. But, yeah, the Pretty Reckless. Go listen to Death by Rock and Roll. If there's one thing you can take out of this podcast, go listen to Death by Rock and Roll. Go listen to Death by Rock and Roll.
Yeah, do it. Don't sleep on it because I even told Josh, I was like, I regret sleeping on this for as long as I did. Mic drop. Boom.
Boom. So, what other stuff have you been listening to? Anything fun?
Oh man, one of my most played albums from this year is probably John the Ghost album. I have been obsessed with John the Ghost lately. If you don't know, there's a band called The Main, and the lead singer, John O'Callaghan, has a side project called John the Ghost. And he's had an EP come out, but this was like his first full length under this moniker, and it's so, so good. I cannot wait for my physical copy to come in the mail. The Main is also releasing a new album this year, and I thought it was going to be really hard because I'm like, now what's my album of the year going to be? Is it going to be his like solo side project or the whole band's album? I don't know yet. But the lead single off of that, Sticky, is so good. If you've not heard Sticky by The Main, do yourself a favor because I've heard it at least like 30 times since its release on Thursday.
Mm-hmm. It is very good. I might have to see if I can cop the vinyl. No big deal if I don't. But even the CD packaging, I saw that. I'm like, damn, this CD packaging is amazing. Like, I like CDs too. Because sometimes it's just easier to grab the CD, like I did with Evermore. I am blown away by that, the cover of that CD. That is so cool. Like, Death by Rock and Roll is album of the year material for me. It might even be my album of the year right now. But I gotta give it to them. That is a cool cover that I saw there. I'm like, that is
Yeah,
awesome.
it's supposed to be like the sun is supposed to kind of be. It's like a red circle on a yellow backdrop, but it's kind of supposed to represent the sun. From what I can tell, like if you don't know a lot about the Maine, they
Hmm.
usually have these eras and they're marked by colors, and the colors of this era are red and yellow. I am like blown away. I'm so freaking excited for their new album. I can't. I
Yeah.
can't even. But if you do decide to like order something, I really do recommend getting like a small bundle because it makes shipping a lot more feasible because their shipping is kind of expensive on the website. I know we've kind of talked about this before, but
Well, you and I talked about
yeah,
this, but we didn't record it. But um, it also they're independent, so you'd be helping them
that
out.
is true. Like I honestly I don't mind paying the $7+ for shipping because they are independent. They do have a very small
Yep.
team that packs stuff for them. They're not, through a big recording label. Like they don't have a big team like that. And I honestly I don't mind tipping them and paying extra because they are independent because I love supporting them and I know that if they didn't have the support of myself and other fans around the world, they really wouldn't be able to do what they do and that would make me sad. So, I don't mind spending the extra cash.
Right. And it makes it a little more poignant because I was on the way up to IKEA and I heard on the radio that Chevelle sold like 6 million albums, didn't get a dime from the sales.
Wow.
Yeah, you can have a best-selling album and through a record label get zero sales, and merchandise is so huge. So to have them be independent, I think also benefits them
Mhm.
because they get from the pure album sales plus that, and this has just ravaged the music industry just overall. Um, I don't know if you remember, but there was a particular event that we had talked about in season one. The 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 fire.
Uh-huh.
You remember that incident that happened? It seemed like 10 years ago, doesn't it?
Oh, I know. It seems like forever ago, but then whenever you brought it, I was like, I know what you're going to bring up, and that did happen last year, didn't it?
No, it happened the year before.
Did it?
So yeah, it was
Oh my
2019.
god. Has
So
it been that long? Oh my god.
it has. So for those of you who don't know, and this is your first time listening, basically, whenever there's a record press, there's a lacquer that is used. And one of the two factories that produces the lacquers in the world burned to the ground. And not just burned to the ground where we could say, no, completely gone. There is only one factory in the entire world that is able to cut brand new lacquers for albums. Now, a lacquer is basically kind of the master of the master when it comes to vinyl. And some of them, a lot of them are saved, so you can obviously do repressings and things of it, but those wear out too. So we thought before the human malware had come out and was a thing, how was this going to affect Record Store Day in 2020? Well, I think that maybe the record industry, when it comes to just vinyl records, maybe it benefited just a little bit from what we've been going through. Because yes, they're pressing a lot more, but it's not as crazy in demand, I don't think. So it might have just bought some time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It makes sense.
So yeah, we that was the funniest thing when we recorded that. We didn't know what was going to happen, and then the entire world just exploded into chaos and burning. Yeah, remember the burning times? That happened
Yeah.
last year too.
Yeah. Man, so much happened last year. It was just like every day I was just like, what else is going to happen? What's new that's just going to pop up and surprise us all?
It makes the murder hornets seem small.
Like nothing. Jeez.
Yeah, that was a crazy year. For me, I just want to talk very briefly because I did not do a video on this. I just want to be brief. Um, Folklore was my number one album last year. I didn't do a video because life, like I said. But do you have any other last thoughts? I know we're in March, but any other last thoughts on last year with music or no?
If any of you all want to know any of my thoughts on some music from last year, head on over to my channel. I did a video on albums that I listened to, albums that I loved. I ranked them and I talked all about my thoughts on them. So if you want to know and you haven't seen, go check that out. I'm not going to waste the extra time here because I feel like
Yeah,
you know if you've seen it. So I don't want to waste time.
yeah. uh, all of our information is down in the description below. And if you made it this far in the video, tell us what your favorite animal is down in the comments below. So I don't know if you have any more thoughts here, but I think we're pretty much good to wrap it up
Yep,
here.
let's go ahead and wrap it up.
uh, just so everybody's clear, where can we find you, Mariken?
I mean, I'm all over YouTube. Marichen, Lehman Craddock. I have Instagram, Twitter, Discogs. I usually have all those linked in my videos, and I believe we even link them down below. All of our socials and everything, all down below. Go check them out.
Also, you might want to check out our Instagram. Uh, I'm at least posting to that. I don't know if you have time to post to that, but I've been posting to it. Both of us will eventually be posting to it. So if you want to be extra cool and awesome, we do have a Twitter page. We do have an Instagram. We're still working on things with this. You know, this is our second season, and we're just trying to get this going. But eventually, we'll actually have a website too, where you can follow us as well.
I'm super excited
But
about that website.
it's kind of in the works. Um, I have everything secured. It's just now going in there and making it look pretty. Which, yay! If you know anything about website development, it's yay.
Woohoo! Fun.
But yeah, all of our information is down below. Thank you so very much for listening to this. If you're brand new, go ahead and subscribe if you want to hear some more content like this. We are going to be posting a little bit more, hopefully. Where's the wood in this room? Oh, yeah, here. I'll get my hammer out.
Knock on
Knock
wood.
on wood. We'll be posting a little bit more. We are planning on having some special guests, so stay tuned for that. Ricky, do you have any parting words?
I hope you guys have been doing well. We're sorry for the delay in this, but life happens. And we'll talk to you guys soon.
Absolutely. And as I say at the end of everything that I'm in, when the waters get rough, please, please keep on sailing. And the reason I say that is everything I have is pirate themed, so I always like to think of myself as a captain. It was a moniker that I did a while ago. But when the waters get rough, please keep on sailing. You can persevere. You can do this. You are not alone. You are loved. Especially all in this crazy times we are living in right now. I just want to be the voice, even my lovely co-host Mariken, we want to be the voice that lets you know that you are loved, you are amazing, you are the only one of you, and that makes you amazing. And Mr. Rogers even said that, and it stays true to this day. You are only one you, and that makes you unique, and that makes you amazing. So you are loved. Be kind to yourself, and stay safe.